Give you a brief introduction to myself. My name is Casey Marler. I work here in town at WJHL, local television station. I spent 10 years as a sportscaster. And so you can imagine the thrill when I got the email to come help, because after 2 years of being out of sports and being in the local news, you wonder if they forget you. And I was really excited that either A, they were desperate, or B, they still had me in their phones. So it's exciting to be here. I grew up wanting to be around coaches and competitors and athletes and figure out what makes them tick. That was really my life desire. And so to be a part of this and to actually get up here and talk to people literally about that topic. How do you think? How do you act? Why do you do what you do? How do you handle things that don't work out your way is a thrill beyond anything I can explain to all you folks. So there's a brief introduction. Now let me introduce our panelists for this morning, and we will start with the woman to my left, Susan Walvius. Spent much of her career as a college basketball coach, played basketball, part of basketball her entire life, led South Carolina to some of the most successful basketball years in their history in the mid-2000s. After coaching, she took that same leadership professional skills into the business world, where she started the company Sheiks, where they specialize in fabrics that are specialized for sports and competitors. So please welcome to the podium, Susan Walvius. And to her left, the other half of the dynamic duo when it comes to Sheiks, that is Michelle Marciniak. Many folks remember her as her days as a Tennessee basketball player in the mid-2000s, led them to their 4th national championship for Pat Summitt, named the MVP of the Final Four en route to that national championship. She went to South Carolina as an assistant basketball coach, and obviously the two went on to the business world together. So please welcome back to Tennessee and back to East Tennessee, Michelle Marciniak. And on the far left, he was a quarterback for the University of Tennessee in the early 1990s. Played for head coach Phillip, who was around this morning as well. Led Tennessee to some of the early successful years in Phillip Fulmer's career. 4-year starter, #1 draft pick by the Washington Redskins. Successful NFL career, took all of those attributes into the professional world and then to the leadership world, the world of politics, where he served as a U.S. Congressman for many years for the state of North Carolina. No stranger to East Tennessee, no stranger to Johnson City. Welcome back, Heath Shuler. A couple of folks making their first trip here to Johnson City. Welcome, and welcome back, Heath. Well, let's get started here, and we'll start with the softball. Sports, business, how do they correlate, and what did you learn in the sporting world growing up that you're constantly going back to in the business world?
I think it's all about team. You win with talent, you win with experience. And that's what, when Michelle and I grew the business with Sheiks, and it's Sheiks with an X at the end, like bed sheets, but has an X, just so you guys know, in case you're interested. But we knew that, and with coaching basketball, if we had young teams and kids that were stepping outside of their roles and shooting the ball when that wasn't what they did well, we didn't win a lot of games. But when we had the opportunity to build Sheiks, we went out and found really talented, smart people, and we built that team. We wanted to find people always that were smarter than we were, better than we were, and not to be intimidated by that in any way.
She also said, number one, it's also about marketing. Make sure you get the name out there, right?
Exactly.
Elaborate on that a little bit, Michelle, and that team aspect, and it's really about the people around you, isn't it?
Absolutely. I played for Pat and played for a national championship and was a professional basketball player. And as an elite athlete, you have a skill set, and to me, it's about work ethic. It's you wake up every day. I mean, Susan and I have said this for the last 8 years. You wake up every day and you try to get it better. You try to improve yourself. It's really not competing against the world, you're competing against yourself. And that's what happens, throughout our athletic careers. So I would say for me, the correlation between sports and business is about work ethic. It's about, the best way I could probably describe it as well is you have to have a certain level of persistence, and resilience. Because things happen. You lose games, you have bad practices, you get thrown out of practice, you get yelled at, but in business it's very similar. Because you have board meetings where you just get your butt kicked, and it doesn't feel very good. You have private equity meetings or meetings where you realize you walk out of the room and you realize that you're not ready for that level yet. And those are the kind of examples that I think sports really correlates, because there's so much there's so much to take in. And you have to be able to handle it and deal with it, kind of the ups and downs, and sports every day is like that.
Did you ever find yourself even today talking about correlations in business? Did you ever go back to those basketball days or playing days, coaching days together and say, well, this was a lot like, this person I'm dealing with professionally is a lot like that player or this situation. Is there any situations like that that you lean on those experiences?
We use a lot of sports analogies with our team. And, talking about, look, we're where we are today. I mean, I think our valuation today is around $45 million. And we've got competitors out there, even though we have patents on what we're doing, we have competitors that are trying to get in the marketplace because we have been hugely successful in creating this entirely new category of betting. And so we talk to our team, it's like, yeah, okay, we've done this to this point, but we're nowhere near where we want to be. And so it's always staying focused on where you want to go. And you're either growing every day or you're dying every day. It's one of the two. And it's important that we continue to grow as individuals and help the individuals in our team be successful. That's a big part of coaching. That's a big part of leadership in general. But that we remain focused as a group on the overall objectives of the organization, and that we're constantly tweaking those too, because you have to be willing to make those changes when things don't go well.
Heath, talk about when it comes to leadership and focal point, the quarterback is that position. And the quarterback at Tennessee, in the state of Tennessee, is that position. How do you go from leader to athlete, or were you an athlete and became a leader, and how do you blend those two together athletically, and then how has that helped you since your athletic days?
Certainly in my life, it started actually with seeing great leaders in my life, whether it be my parents and how they led in the community, how my high school football coach led his coaching staff and the team. And so having great examples in your life, I think it gives you that same ability. If you want to be successful and you want to be the leader, and you want to be the first in line, and you want to be the first to finish the drill, not only first, but to do it with the best skill set that you possibly have. Or if you want to make sure that you're setting that the chairman of the board of a corporation, it's having great leaders and see how they have performed before you, I think, and certainly in my life has put me in that role. So once I was in college and then having great coaches, such as Coach Fulmer, having him lead an organization and then empowering you, which I think is probably the most important thing, is having people that once they see that you have the integrity, the character, the work ethic, the attitude, then they start empowering you to help make those decisions with them. So then that becomes a team sport. It really becomes a family. And Coach Fulmer certainly made that not only on a team perspective, but I think he made that for an entire state, because he made all of us, he empowered all of us, either be as players or as fans. He helped us see that we had a common goal, and that was all of us to be successful. So the louder the fans were, the more difficult it was on the Florida quarterbacks or the Alabama quarterbacks. He empowered all of us. So having that right attitude and having the people in your lives prior to your predecessors led the right way, you can, I think it helps you become a stronger leader.
We'll start with Heath and work our way backwards. Commitment to decision is something we all face in our daily life, leadership-wise, athletically, professionally. It's no different. Do you learn, Heath, to commit to the decision? How do you react? Do elite athletes and professionals second guess their decisions? How do you work through that process and constantly try to stay on top of your game?
Well, obviously, sports was one thing with making decisions. Trying to be a member of Congress and make a decision for 750,000 people in your congressional district, and everyone has an opinion on how you should actually cast a vote. Trying to please everyone, that was the most difficult thing in my entire life that I've had to overcome. I'm a people pleaser. I want to please everyone. Well, that's impossible because just because you have a letter outside your name, a D or an R, you obviously have 50% dislikes everything that you do and 50% likes everything that you do. So that became very difficult for me. And so decision-making process, I always felt like I had to explain everything. And so I would explain it and I would try to get you to view my point the same way I did. And so that was a failure that I had. I ultimately found out and discovered over time that I wanted to be very steadfast with the decisions that I made. I wanted to do it with integrity and character, so I had to build that first. That had to be, and through honesty and openness. Even if they didn't, we've all had people in our lives, our parents were those, I'm sure. They would tell you things that that tough love, the things that you didn't want to hear in your life, but you had to accept it. But you knew, maybe not at 16, 17, 18 years old that they were actually right with it. 25, 26 years old, you actually discovered that they were actually right. I think if you were able to handle who you are as an individual first, and that you have respect, even if we have a difference of opinion. I think you you play a bigger role in decision-making processes, and people don't necessarily second guess you. But yes, I did second guess myself. Yes, I did cast votes that I wish I would have had to do over again. But I was always honest about it. Sometimes the political pundits would say you shouldn't be that honest with people, but I left office with a 73% approval rating, so it actually
That's not easy to do. But politics is a whole new ballgame, and business is the same decisions, right? Player, coach, player, professional. Talk about that.
I think as an athlete, and people hear me say this and they're surprised, but I think as an athlete, you're kind of selfish. You care about the food you eat, what you're drinking, you care about the sleep you're getting, you care about your workouts, your body, how it looks, how it feels, how you're feeling. It's very myopic. It is all, when you're an athlete, it's your job to take care of yourself. But then it takes coaches like Coach Fulmer and Pat and Coach Summit to really put that individual in a team environment and then get the best out of each of the individual players. And I think as I made the transition from being an athlete to an entrepreneur, it was a risk. It was talk about taking a huge risk. Susan and I, we resigned from our coaching positions back in 2008 Susan's family was shocked, and they really just wanted to ask her, when are you going to get your next coaching job? Because we were just trying to set out to create the world's first performance fabric bedding bedsheet line. And to people that just didn't make sense, going from athletics to the textile world, which we knew nothing about. But Susan's parents were one thing, but it's the thing is you have to be bold. You have to take risks. I think great things happen for those who end up taking those risks. But to kind of go back to what I said before, it was, for me, being an athlete was, all of a sudden I had to be a businesswoman, and I had to take all of those skills that were taught to me as a player from an amazing coach that I played for, into an environment where I wasn't as confident. I wasn't as confident as a businesswoman as I was as a player. I was a good player. I was a great player. I knew it. I knew how good I was. I was humble, but I still knew how good I was. When I jumped into the business world, there's a lot of questions. We deal with everything as an entrepreneur. You have to know about sales, about marketing, about e-com, about corporate governance, about raising capital. How do you raise capital? I don't know. We've never done it before. There's a lot of question marks, and the learning curve for an entrepreneur is massive. So that your confidence is a little bit raw. So I'm proud of the fact that Susan and I are sitting up here still after 8 years. Because as we're talking to Dr. Sander, it's, 90-95% of entrepreneurial ventures fail. So I guess the bar was pretty low for us going in. But we sat in front of Coach Fulmer's group years and years, probably six plus years ago, for an investment. And you never know where you're going to go at that point. But huge risk for us to jump off as entrepreneurs. And I think you sort of. You learn your strengths and your weaknesses. You learn that, okay, you take each piece at a time, all those different slices, and you try to, learn as much as you can, and then, be the best that you can, and rely back on those athletic learnings that we do talk about every single day.
Susan, in your experience, talk about that, the correlation, coaching, decisions now, the decisions, wins and losses become dollars and cents. Can you correlate those two? More stress in one, less in the other, vice versa?
I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, you want to learn from the mistakes that you make. Certainly, we've made many, made recruiting errors, made hiring errors. But you don't, sometimes analysis is paralysis too, and with mistakes and with other things in your business. It's really important, it's been important for us to be quick and nimble, change gears and direction if we need to. We did that in sports. It was like you prepare really hard for something, you go out and you lose a game, you get waxed or whatever. It's like, okay, what went wrong? We have to correct that issue. We have to make a position change or whatever it is, and the same is true in what we're doing now. We, as Michelle said, we are navigating unknown waters all the time. And with making mistakes, and as I said in starting the conversation, we're very fortunate to have great advisors, a great board, great experienced people on our team, and it's listening. I think that was said earlier today, but listening, leaders need to listen to grow and then move quickly. Because, a lot of times when you make a decision, move forward, you made a mistake, you correct the mistake the next time, and don't live in the rearview mirror, and don't live way out in the future. You've got to execute right now with what you have to the best of your ability.
On the topic of leap of faith and changing what you're doing, we'll open this up to any one of you three. Talk about branding. You were on the spotlight, all within the community knew who you were, what you were doing. How did that branding change? Did it change when you left athletics? Did you like being out of the spotlight? Did you have to be in the spotlight? Talk about that brand. And do you ever long to go back? I wish it was like my sporting days when I just grabbed the ball and shot it through it. When they all listened, or I got to throw them out of the room. Talk about that branding.
Are you referring to like personal brand, like your personal?
We can go both personal and then professional. We'll start with that. With your personal brand, how did that change from athletics to today?
Well, I was a funny example. I think we all up here have, and many of you out there have experienced, you have your time in the sun. You have your time where you're an elite athlete, you're an elite coach, you're at the top of your game, and then you kind of reset. Like, I think life, you go through this freshman, sophomore, junior, senior all over again, all throughout your life, you know, and I just think every single time that you get to thinking that you're pretty good, all of a sudden you're a freshman again, you know, and I've experienced that more than you could possibly imagine, and it's humbling, but good example for me, just coming off of the national championship in Tennessee, MVP of the Final Four, thinking that, you know, I mean, I did well, and I showed up, I started doing some color commentating at the Lady Vols games, and I'd walk into the arena, then the very next year, and everybody thought I was Kelly Jolly. And Kelly Jolly was the great point guard after me, who played alongside me, and then she went on to win 3 national championships herself. And what it taught me was don't, you know, kind of like get over yourself, Michelle. Like, you know, you're really as good as like that game that you won last spring, and that's about it. And it just taught me the greatest lesson of, you know, it's not, life is about, life is a journey. You know, you can get to a destination, it's kind of, you hear this all the time, you can get to that destination, but it does reset, you know, and I tell you what, there's not any more humble pie that you can eat than jumping from something that you knew to something that you don't, and creating bed sheets out of performance factors after having the careers that we had as athletes and coaches, and then starting something completely different. And everybody's looking at you like you are absolutely nuts. And so for me, that's a huge lesson that I've learned in my life.
So I've gone 15 minutes without asking probably the question. How on earth did you get from basketball to performance fabrics? Where did that even, did you just wake up one day?
I was wearing a pair of Sheldon training and some of the new, more technical fabrics that Nike had come out with. And she bought a pair of shorts for me to try, and we're going to get them for the whole team. I've been wearing them for a while, and I said to her one day, I'd love to have bed sheets made out of this stuff. And went online, and nobody was doing it, and Michelle's like, we should do it. And so we had the opportunity, the International Business School, I have to plug the school too, the International Business School at the University of South Carolina is typically ranked 1 through 3 in the world. So we had an opportunity to work with the students in developing the business plan. It wasn't like we just left coaching that day and said, oh, let's go do this. It was a year transition, working with the students, which as a coach, there's such a separation of church and state that you really don't have that opportunity to work with the students very much. And so we really enjoyed that. We worked on the business plan. We did several semesters with the students. Then when we saw the business plan, this is really worth pursuing, even if we don't even come close to these projections. So that's when we jumped.
Did you find a time, was there a time when you finally said this is working? Or did you wake up every day and say, we gotta make it work?
I still wake up every day and say, I don't think this is working. No, yes, I mean, we have had so many, I think this is so important in sports. I think you need to recognize what you've accomplished and enjoy those little moments, but then don't dwell on those moments and move on and get better. But I think we've done a good job of that. We've had a lot of pinch me moments through this. I mean, we're in every Bed Bath & Beyond today. We're getting ready to launch 6 new sheet programs in Bed Bath & Beyond. The volumes are huge. If you guys get Bed Bath & Beyond emails, you'll see a Sheik's email today. Their distribution list is 17 million. It's just been really, really cool for us. A lot of pinch me moments.
That's the key. Wake up every day and prove yourself again. As Michelle was talking about freshman to senior to moment, I kept thinking about Heath. In your life as a quarterback, it's freshman to senior play-by-play, and then again on Capitol Hill. How do you handle those moments? I know it. I don't know anything. I know it. I don't know anything.
Well, going from high school to college, I didn't. Coach is going to get mad at me about this because I never told him the story. So my freshman year, we've gone all through the entire practice, summer practice. Didn't come in the spring at that point in time. Athletes didn't do that, but all summer practice, all fall practice. We're playing Louisville, if I'm not mistaken, our first game. Andy Kelly's the starting quarterback, and they kept talking about these guys, Mike, Will, and Sam. Mike, Will, and Sam. And so the first entire, and I'm thinking, I can't figure this out. These guys' names are not Mike, Will, and Sam. I could not, forever. It took me to, they were playing in the first game. I finally looked at Andy Kelly, our starting quarterback, and said, does our coaches know that their first names are not Mike, Will, and Sam? And that one, he looked at me, and thank goodness, Andy was not the type to tell the entire team. So of course I told the whole world that. But he was like, I knew at that point in time, I knew nothing about this game yet. And I just, we always think that we're really, really great when you go out there and perform, but those intangibles, the small things that make huge differences. That to me was that first knowledge of, I have so much work to do, and I think that's what separates kind of the good athletes, the great athletes, and, we were with Dan Marino and Peyton Manning, all-time greats at their position the last couple of days. What separates them is their work ethic and their sheer determination to know everything there is to know about the game. And whether it be in sports, whether it be in politics, whether it be now working for Duke Energy. I didn't know anything about a light bulb. I didn't know how to, all I knew is I went in, I flipped the switch and it comes on, right? That's what we know about electricity. I didn't know what a kilowatt hour was. I didn't know what it cost to produce a kilowatt hour. I didn't know any of that stuff. But I think it really gets down to, if you want to be successful, the way you're going to separate yourself from everyone else in the group is you got to know more than they do. You got to spend every time, every waking moment. As a rookie going in the NFL, I watch the more senior guys. I watch how they trick the rookies every year. They want them to stay out late. They want them to, don't worry about that. We'll get those plays next week. And I watch those individuals who didn't stay out late, and those individuals who studied and worked hard, and that extra film room. That is the individuals who are the most successful. That's who is going to be the starter. And I think that's the way in anything in life, anything that you do. If you're going to be a great parent, what do you got to do? You got to ask. Ask your best friend, ask your parents, ask people that you work with, your colleagues. I'm having this difficulty being a parent. What did you do in this situation? Whatever it is in life, you have to educate yourself. You have to lean on people. Ask the questions to others that you know have performed and been very successful in. Showing up to events like this, you want to be a great leader? Have an opportunity to listen, and even if you just take one thing back with you, it's one thing that you didn't have before you got here. And that will separate you. It may be one thing that you'll be able to make a difference in someone's life on what you say. And I think what we all have it in our lives is a way to pay it forward. You've seen there's a insurance commercial out, right? And it's about paying it forward. You see the piano falling from a building, pushes someone out of the way, saves their life, right? I think that's the same way. And when you have an opportunity to mentor someone, you're passing that knowledge along to someone else, and they then can change the lives of others around them. So,
How do you keep learning? Susan, does it get harder to keep learning? The higher you go up the ladder?
That's, I agree with you wholeheartedly, just knowing and learning as much as you can. I love that. We did leadership assessment tests through Fort Berry, and it was one of the things that was, I love to learn. That's one of the things that motivates me, so that's why this has been really challenging and fun. Not afraid of it. I think one of the biggest crippling things in sports, and I think it can be in business for leaders, is fear. We're not, we aren't afraid to go for it. We love the fact, we love the opportunity to go for it and compete in this new arena for us that is, we're going up against some people who, or the majority of people who've been in this business their entire lives. and wanting to do something like Dyson did, or like Under Armour did, or like Tempur-Pedic did, and creating their categories, and how challenging that is. But to do that, we have to know, we have to be there's nobody that knows more about our business, as I talk about our willingness to rely on other people around us for us to help the leaders within our organization be successful. But we truly believe that nobody knows more about our business than we do. So it's like we will be the leaders of this organization. We will empower the people around us. You do that in coaching. So many misconceptions out there about successful coaches, because people see those coaches on the sidelines screaming at their players, driving the players. But in reality, the greatest coaches are the coaches that are their attitude is, my job is to help you be great at what you do. My job is to help you as an individual be successful for the good of everybody. And the same is true where we are today and what we're doing.
One of my favorite analogies to use is a story I heard. I don't have the specific numbers. Cal Ripken Jr., Major League Baseball player, Ironman, played for Baltimore all those years. He was asked by a reporter, how easy was it to be in the same place and have all that consistency? And Cal Ripken Jr. kind of threw his hands in the air and said, consistency, I had 10 managers, 15 hitting coaches, 35 assistant coaches. I played with dozens of players all around me. Point was change, nothing is consistent. How do you handle, we'll start with you, change, whether it be change in college, players around you, coaches, change in business, people constantly around you, and still stay the course?
I think, that single-minded focus to the goal or the milestone, as Coach said earlier, keeping that at the central focal point. Change, you can make it happen quickly if you're focused on the end result. And so you quickly take change to consistency. Now you're consistent, you're back in the same strides, you're working toward the common goal as a group. I personally love change. I think it motivates you. I think you get to see a different side of, I'm with a company now, and I've had in 3 years, I've had 3 bosses. It's been an incredible change. The great thing I've learned from each one of those individuals. My first boss, I said, since I was outside of coaches, I haven't had a boss since I was at the Boys and Girls Club when I was a freshman at University of Tennessee, working during the summer. That was the last boss. I said, I don't understand, what do I need to do as, to report to you? How do I make that better? 3 bosses, 3 totally different personalities. But I think the challenges those changes have made me a better employee to the company. It's helped me, but the most important thing is I want to be consistent. I want to be consistent with our goals in mind, and to be honest with you, even though the changes happened with them, I was hoping I would change them. And I tell them all the time, look, I've been very blessed in my life. I mean, by the age of 40, I've got to do everything I wanted to do. For the next 40 years, I want to make everyone around me to be successful, to meet their goals. And even my boss, when I told my boss that, he looks at me and he goes, scratches his head, he goes, you're the first person that's ever said that you want to make me more successful than you. And I said, well, I'm not here to have your job. Don't want your job. I want to make you the most successful person possible. Because if you're successful, our entire business unit is successful. And so I quickly try to make the change very consistent in the common goal of the entire group.
Do you see a change do you feel differently? Do you see a change now that mentality is kind of spread?
Yeah, I think the thing that has happened when I kind of have those we have monthly one-on-one conversations, and we kind of do a deep dive within what's happening within the business unit, but also a deep dive of personalities within our groups. And I found out once I kind of open up to each one of them, I find out that they empower me much quicker. They allow me to make decisions. They know that the common goal, we have the same common goal. They reach out to me first. They help me lead the organization. And a lot of times, even when it's outside ironically enough, when it's outside the business stuff, I think they call me first now, even when it's personal, which has been really, really incredible to see someone that I report to reach out to me first.
Michelle, change. Change. How do you handle it? How do you manage it?
When I was at Tennessee, much like we were just talking about, we had everything. I mean, talk about spoiled, I'll just say it. I mean, we're so fortunate, we're blessed. We had the best coach in America. We took private planes.
I thought you said I was the best coach in America.
But we had meals ready for us for pregame. They made sure there's fruit on our seats on the bus to make sure our blood sugar didn't drop after a game. We were hydrated. We had everything at our fingertips. If I wanted a new pair of shoes, I had a new pair of shoes. Just because I kind of started to see a little tread that was wearing on the outside right heel. It's crazy. I was very fortunate as an athlete. I would even go as far as say kind of spoiled. So you take kind of that setting. Now with that came very high expectations that you'll get this as long as you win a national championship. That's, from day one, if you want to come into this program, that is the expectation from me, your coach, and from this university. So you've got a lot to live up to. So good luck, and here's everything you need. Now let's take that over here and let's think about being an entrepreneur, where you start from absolute ground zero. There's no infrastructure, there's nothing. There's no money, there's not even a dollar. There's no money, there is something of an idea that you think is a really great idea and everyone else thinks that you're absolutely nuts. Okay, so then you start thinking, okay, how do I build this company from ground zero? And I think the interesting thing for us is the amount of sacrifice that we had to make. We took red eyes instead of spending money on hotel rooms. You try to eat reasonable. You're not eating out at the best restaurants every night because honestly, you need to save the money for your business. Any money that you do make from a sale, you plow right back into the business. You don't take a salary. We didn't take a salary for a couple of years when we first started. And I mean absolute ground zero. And the reason I'm saying this is because of my amazing experience at Tennessee. It was a tough one at times because of the demands, but it makes me appreciate sort of the holistic view of where we are right now, because it's when you have a dollar to spend and it's your dollar and you earn that dollar, and you're expected to invest that money into your company and into your business, it's amazing how much you don't waste it if it is yours. And it's everything, the entire world is on your shoulders, and your business is your business. So you don't have a budget, you don't have fruit sitting on your seat to make sure your blood sugar doesn't drop. You're kind of making this yourself. And I think, to me, change of just being adaptable to the different stages, in life. One was a really great experience in college athletics, and the next is building something from scratch. And we've done very well with that. But I think because I know where I want to get to with our company, because of what Pat built at Tennessee, from the ground up, from women's athletics, all the way back to Title IX, it's kind of like she did the same thing. And it's like, as women, we're doing the same thing. We just happen to be doing it on a business level as entrepreneurs.
Michelle, I'm getting right into my next question. Does it help, since we can start with you, open up the whole panel, does it help that you know the goal, you know what success looks like, you know what greatness is, to lean on?
You're teaching that. I mean, every time you have a freshman come into the program, you've got to set the expectation, as you both talked about. One thing that I think is really critical, because it's affected our coaching career, it's affected our business, both good and bad, is developing that culture internally. As we talked about trying to help the individuals within the organization, there's sometimes that culture just isn't the right culture, and it's being able to move quickly. I think some of the things that we've seen from other entrepreneurs or stories that we've been told from the business perspective is, I waited too long to move that person out of the organization. You can't have a negative attitude and be successful. It's impossible. And if you aren't lifted, either you're a bright light or you're an energy suck, one of the two. And you've got those people who, no matter how hard you work with them, are going to suck the energy out of your company. And you as a leader, and I'm the worst at this because I want to give, in coaching, we learn, look, you recruited a kid, you got to deal with it. In business, that's, and so you just try to find a role and try to make it work. In business, it's important to act quickly, it's important to get the culture right that you want for that organization as a leader, and make sure you build to that culture. We hired some a great CFO, unbelievable background, and we hired a controller that were not the right fit for Cheeks. They came in and the sky was falling every day, and it's like, what are you talking about? I mean, it's just, it took the entire, and there was a lot of coaching and a lot of back and forth, but it just didn't work. Then we went out and we hired some new people, and it was like the light bulb came on again. And it's finding that right chemistry is really important in sports and in business.
Yeah, I'll just add one thing, because I think you just summarized it very well. But we've heard this time and time again, many of you may have heard it, but if you're gonna fail fast. It's almost like, it's like how long you hang in there with something, and when do you just sort of pull the plug and say, okay, that sleepwear line, the sleeves were too long, the pants were too long, it's not making sense.
They could be pretty good.
There's a reason for that. But it's almost like if that particular function within your company is not working, you have to know when to say, okay, I'm gonna stop throwing money at this because we need to move in a different direction, or I'm gonna stop throwing money at that coach that you're investing in because we need to move in a different direction, or that player has just gotta go because they're a distraction to the team. I think everybody in this room can relate to, you have to hang in there. With your own kids and stuff, that's a whole different ballgame. But when you're talking about business, it's in the dollars and cents of making business decisions, financial decisions, you have to know how to fail fast and get out of Dodge quickly without miring in the details of the emotional tug of why somebody should stay or why this, I think you understand what I'm saying.
I figure since Coach was talking about light bulbs and energy, we could have Heath talk about sheets for. In all honesty, though, it is about the energy of the people around you, isn't it?
No doubt about it. I think but that comes from you as a leader. I mean, if you want a very energetic, a very motivated group, they have to see that you're motivated and you have the common goal, that you love what you're doing. I think it's very difficult to be a good leader if you don't love the work of what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, you're not going to be the leader. I mean, people see right through it. I mean, you can try all you want to pretend that you enjoy your job. You pretend that you can, that you're motivated. But until you your employees can see it. If you love it, you're going to be motivated. You're going to be engaged. You're going to inspire others. And once that happens, it sets a trend throughout the entire organization. They see it. You're leading by example. I mean, you can talk all you want, but until they see you energized, they're not going to be energized. And that I see it every day with what we're doing. We have 60,000 employees and contractors in our corporation. It's a lot of people, and you see the business units. I'm very fortunate I get to work with all the business units in the company with what we do, and I see the motivation, and it starts at the top. If that executive vice president is motivated, then I see the employees all the way through are motivated. And I think that you have to face those challenges, as individuals. Some of the signs of the best leaders are the ones that decide, hey, this is where I don't need to be here today. I need to find something else to do. I think that's a sign of a great leader. When you're able to stand up and be mature about it and say, hey, this is not what I'm in life. I've got other things that I would like to do. And go do the things. Life's way too short to continue the same grind if you don't love it. Now, everyone else send in your resignation tomorrow. Don't do it tomorrow, but you have to love what you're doing. Everything I've ever done in my life, I would absolutely have put my heart and soul into it. And if I look at the people who have reported to me or my employees, they put their heart and soul into it as well. It's because they saw the passion, the willingness to go that extra mile and work hard. My congressional office in Washington, I literally had to tell them to go home at night. Literally had to tell them to go home. I'm shutting the doors. It's 9 o'clock at night. And these are, of course, Washington's run by 20-year-olds. You have to go home and get sleep. You have to go home and sleep. We'll start over tomorrow.
On cheeks.
Yeah.
It's all coming together.
But I think that they know that I love what I was doing. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Then there become a time that I didn't love it and I didn't want to serve any longer. Felt like I'd served my time, but they knew that I loved my job while I was doing it, and it really it showed in the work that they did and what they're doing now. I look back and it's like my family. It's like kids that I had. I've got the speechwriter for the Vice President of the United States. He was my legislative director, Chief of Staff for Senator Joe Manchin, West Virginia. I just get to say one kid was 26 years old, made his first $1 million. That's pretty cool, right? 26 years old, make $1 million. I saw how he had a work ethic and a drive, and he loved what he was doing. And now he's in a profession. He's one of the very best at what he's doing because he has the passion and love and care and the desire to make a difference. So it starts with you as a leader. Love what you're doing first.
To a certain extent, listening to that discussion, Heath coached young and up-and-coming students in Washington, much the same. You two coach. How do you pull out? We talk about, the ones that just don't care. We talk about the ones that care a lot. And then we have this group in the middle that you can see in their eyes that they care, but they don't get it. Professionally, athletically, how do you pull that person? All of us leaders, we sit next to them, we work with them. How do you pull them up when you can see that they have everything it takes? Maybe it's self-doubt, maybe it's experience, and get them to where you want them to go for the company's sake, for the team's sake. Susan, we can start with you.
You want to take that one here? Let's see. I just said I'd fire him a few minutes ago.
Yeah. And we fired them, now we still got to get the one to.
No, but it's I think in sports, that's a real challenge. Do you coach to your worst player? Do you coach to your best player? Do you coach to the bulk of your team? And, communication is so important. And that one-on-one communication to make sure people understand expectations and what the purpose of our being is and where we're trying to go. And also taking, I think there's also showing an interest in people personally is also very important. It's not just professionally, and those are really two different things. But knowing your people and letting them know you a little bit, and they can see the realness in you, I think is critical. But if you're establishing that goal and you're communicating and you're setting the expectations and the steps and you're communicating those, this is what we're going to focus on, this is what we want to do, and you can't get that person there, my opinion is they have to go. So that was the case in sports as well. But you can't spend all of your energy on that energy side. You've got to get that person there quickly or move quickly.
I think everyone has personality. Everyone does have different personalities. And as coaches, coaching players, if you're a teammate or you're a coach, coaching a player, you have to deal with the different personalities of the emotions of, the 12 women that you're coaching or the 11 teammates that are out on the floor on the practice floor with you. And it's very similar, in business. Some people are really great, some people are average, and you have to learn how to deal with, the personalities in a way where you can, as a leader, it's a leadership thing, as a leader, you have to know what buttons to push and when.
There's one, and I'll add to that, that's okay. There's one button that seems to always work in trying to motivate people and trying to get them. You always need to recognize, a lot of times people think leadership is always correcting. Leadership is recognizing what people do well, and you have to have that balance. You have to find the good, find something they're doing well. They'll repeat it. They'll repeat it over and over again. I think that's one of the best ways to get people to continue or grow in the behaviors that you're looking for.
But I was just going to use one because I think everybody in here could relate. If you know my coach, Pat Summit, when I was a senior, I had a lot of pressure on me as a point guard to win a national championship. We got to the national championship my junior year, and we lost. And so basically, she looked at me that next day and said, "This is on you. I mean, you lost yesterday. We need to win next year. What are you going to do to prepare starting right now?" And this is literally less than 12 hours after the game. And those were the those expectations. But so during my senior year, I'd say the best year at Tennessee for me was my junior year. My senior year was a little different. I was good, and I was more focused, and I was more sort of goal oriented. But I also had that little chip on my shoulder that I was kind of taking because she's kind of making me do it, and like there's kind of a gun to my head sort of thing. And I mean that in the best way, but that's the demand that you have to deal with, the pressure of big time college athletics. And basically so season starts, November, December, January, you're kind of in the meat of your season. By when February came along, I'm doing okay, but I had one game that I fouled out of the game, never fouled out in my life. That's the one thing, if you're a great player, you find yourself on that floor when the buzzer goes off. It doesn't matter, you never foul out of a game. So I fouled out of the game. Not only did I foul out of the game, before I exited the game, I think I missed, I'm an 80% career free throw shooter. I think I was like 5 for 11 from the line that day. We were at Mississippi. And basically, and we lost the game, okay? Which you never lose to Mississippi, you just don't, not if you're in Tennessee and you're a lady ball, but. So anyway, we get through this game. Well, I get absolutely lambasted in the locker room, in front of my teammates, outside the press room. I mean, just, if you were a mother, you'd be like, "Oh, God bless you, child." So it was bad. It was really bad. And I won't get into the whole thing, but basically, she broke my spirit. One thing you never want to do, okay? So that average kid, that elite kid, that really not so good kid, the one thing you can't do is make them feel bad about who they are and what they've tried to accomplish and giving it their best. And I think what I did from that point, and again, we won the championship, keep that in mind, but what I did at that point was I asked her to coach me different. And I said, "Please, from this point forward," we had it all knocked down, drag out, meet me in my office at 6:30 the next morning. And she basically said, I need to know, whether you're in or you're out. Basically, if you want to walk away right now, you want to quit, that's fine, which I'm not a quitter, but, that was the challenge at hand, or do you want to play for me and win a national championship and be the leader? Because you certainly didn't show it last night, right? So I asked her, she said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I need you to coach me different." She was like, "Excuse me?" Do you need me to coach you different? I've been doing this for 35 years of my life. You know, basically best coach ever, and you want me to coach you different? And I said, I need you to coach me different, because when you yell at me like you do, and you want me to lead my team, when you're yelling at me like you're yelling at me, it makes me not feel very confident, and therefore I don't feel like I can turn around and direct and lead my team the way you need me to. And she was like, okay. You know, and it didn't go over so well with her for probably 2 or 3 games. She said, you know, Michelle, okay, I'll handle you with kid gloves, that's fine. And it was kind of one of those things, it was huge risk as a player, but I knew what I needed to win a national championship, and I needed a little more love from her. I needed a little more, like, hug my neck, because I'm at my absolute breaking point. And I think the point is, you know, everybody's different, everybody's emotions are different, everybody has different personalities. But sometimes you have to learn that there are different buttons that you need to push in order to be a great leader. And like I said, we did win, so I think we both won. But she will go down saying I'm the most stubborn player that she's ever coached in her entire life, so.
We sat down here this morning thinking that the leap from coaching to the business world was the biggest risk that you ever took. But I think that conversation was fun. There was almost no sheets. And the rest, as they say, as I sit here with Coach and Heath in eye shot of me here in the front, question keeps coming to my mind. Do you ever say to yourself, that's why my leader was doing what he did? When you become the one, quote unquote, on top, you ever say, aha, that's why?
Yeah, probably the first time I recognized it was actually in high school. I had a very tough, no-nonsense high school football coach, and his expectations were extremely high. I would have dreams about him at night, and it wasn't good dreams. It was like I would wake up, I would hear the guy yelling and screaming, you know, kind of a pat deal. I mean, I would hear that in my sleep. But he motivated me. He got more out of me at an early age, and then you get into that next level where it becomes those conversations that you have. It's, Heath, here's what I expect you to do. It's the Georgia game. It's 4th down. The game's on the line. It's how you transform from that old style of coaching to that new style of coaching of, I believe in you, I have faith in you, and I trust you, and I put you in this position because I know you can get the job done. That's the type of transition that I've seen that really has separated some incredible coaches that I personally says, when I knew that Coach called the play because he knew I could be successful with it, I didn't think there was anything but to be complete pass. And I think that's what we have to do as leaders. We have to see that same opportunity and seize the moment with those individuals. You got to know, they have to know that you care. They got to know that you can motivate them, and they got to know that you're setting high expectations for them. And that's what Coach did. I mean, that's what I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for this guy. I believe with all my heart and soul, I would not be here. It started at a young age, and it continued to go. And Coach Torbush is here, and he was one of the first guys that recruited me. And I think offered me a scholarship. I mean, that's you start to see these people in your life, and here's a guy that's still in my life as a senior in high school with someone that I respect that's right there with me. And to brag on Coach for a minute, he was the guy when I told him I wasn't going to go to Chapel Hill. Even afterward, he would call me and say, hey, is there anything I can help you with? Is there, you having some choices and some schools and conversations that I can help you with? I see that same individual. He cared about me. And that's what makes me motivated today to do the things and that I've done. But you have people in your life that forever will be in your life because of they showed love to you.
Some final thoughts. What can we take away? It's all about relationships. Pretty much everything we talked about starts and ends with relationships, doesn't it? Good, bad, and somewhere in between. Susan, go ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about the people. I mean, as we talked about it from the beginning, it's about forming that team, it's having the right culture. But the other thing you've heard over and over again as a leader is setting that expectation. And you have to have that, and that's got to be very clear. The goal of the organization has to be very clear. The other thing that we've had through this, it's a real challenge for us as entrepreneurs, is not to chase everything that looks great. You know, you really, one of the things that we learned, we've got some Under Armour people on our board. It's like we have to get something done every day. If you try to do too many things, if you're trying to do more than 3 things as a leader, you're not going to get anything done. And so it's having that focus to execute, do your one thing, get it done for the day, check the box, and move on. But set those same expectations for your entire team. And it's got to be very clear, as you were talking about, as a leader, you're setting the expectations, I need this from you to help us get here. And so it's the vision on the bigger picture, the bigger plan, but also in how you're communicating to your team what you need from them in their individual roles. And make sure that the people that you have in those roles have the right skill set to execute in those roles. Because that's disastrous in sports, and it can be disastrous in business too.
Michelle?
You know, this conference is about leadership, right? And it just, for me, it's, as a leader, you have a responsibility. You have a huge responsibility to show up every day and be probably better than you were yesterday. You know, earlier today, they were talking about how you have to be consistent, you can't be moody. You know, there's a lot of truth to that. You know, you have to show up, and in order to be a success, I believe, you know, and you know, everybody here, and Coach Fulmer and Pat, and you know, you show up with a certain, yes, drive in your heart in order to get to that destination. But really, and I've heard so many amazing things about Coach Fulmer, which have been clearly restated today. But it's about caring about your players and loving them through the highs and the lows. And there's no difference with where we stand with our team, as we call it, our team at Sheiks. You gotta love them through it. There's some highs and lows.
I'd say lead by example. And I kind of, when I went to high school in Swain County, so there's 88 graduated my senior class, so 8th grade was high school. My mom gave me, and I'm not going to preach, okay, so but this is a little note that my mom gave me. And it was, she told me she actually had something for me when I went to school, and she said it's in your notebook, so I just assumed that it was extra lunch money. I was going to get an extra ice cream or something. It was actually a note that my mom gave me. My mom wasn't much for writing me a letter, and it was a very short but very to the point, and something I've carried with me my whole life. So if there's something I've said today that I would like for you to take with you, and it's about leading by example, it was a note that says, Heath, make each and every decision as if I am standing beside you. Now think about that. I went in the 8th grade, my mom standing right beside me every decision I'm making. She said, but when I am not there, there's always someone above who is. And I think for my entire life that I think when you're leading by example and you're doing what you're doing is, you know, who's standing beside you? It's your employees that are standing beside you when you're making a comment about someone else. It's your employees that are standing right beside you if they see you do something dishonest, not good judgment or good character. So I've rewritten that for myself. My son Navy's here today with me. And so it says, Heath, make each and every decision that my wife Nicole, my son Navy, and my daughter Island are standing beside me. But when they are not there, there's always someone above who is. So take that as a gift and share it. Thank you.
Please join me in thanking Susan Wallace.